Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk to you guys about why taking things away in your life will make you a little bit more appreciative and happier overall. So guys, taking things away in life is something that I struggle with, that I want to struggle with, because I know that through my ability to renounce things, renounce people at times, that is where my spiritual development occurs, right? And the problem with most people is that we don't want to face the darkness. We don't want to face the unknown. We don't want to face death, really. That's what it is, right? When you think about loneliness, right? Loneliness is very difficult because it is the closest thing to death. And let me explain that. Your identity, right, is based off of who you know, who you've known in the past, right? Where you work, who your friends are, who your spouse or girlfriend is, who your kids are, right? Who you follow on social media, who you watch on YouTube, right? So our identity is really created around people. We know ourselves through other people, right? So when you take people out, when you take the people you watch on YouTube out, when you take your friends out, your parents out, people you know in society out, people at your job out, right? And it's just you, right? For however long you decide to choose, it's painful, right? And typically, guys, a lot of the things that we experience in life that are painful, right? Like emotional things that happened to us in the past, right? A lot of those things never get solved or never come to the surface to be let go due to the fact that we don't want to face the aloneness. We don't want to face the possibility of something bad happening, right? The possibility of a thought coming up that we don't want to experience, the possibility of an emotion coming up that we don't want to feel. And it's painful, right? Because you feel the direct effects of overthinking. You feel the direct effects of your mind, of your ego, right? And like I said in my other video, your mind is a machine, right? It doesn't stop. So when we sedate ourselves, or when we surround ourselves with other people, when we do things to somewhat distract ourselves from the running machine that's constantly going up here, that's us trying to put a halt, right, to the possibility of enlightenment. That's really what it is, right? We don't want to experience the oneness of God, right? Because it's painful, right? To get to heaven, you got to go through hell, right? You know, that's why when people meditate for long periods of time, right, they experience things that aren't necessarily comfortable, right? That's why when people go on psychedelic journeys, right, they experience things that that are uncomfortable. But at the end, when they experience God's love, when they experience the oneness, right, the non-dual states of consciousness, then that's what the goal was. So, you know, by them facing the pain, by them facing the thinking, the incessant thinking, right, and getting through that and learning to silence the mind, they were able to get to that point in their consciousness where they experience love, right? And that's really what reality is pushing you towards, right? Every second, think about it, everything you do is centered around getting more love, right? You're trying to make more money so you feel better, right? So you have more choices, so you can experience more love, right? Spend more time with your kids. Why do you want to spend more time with your kids? So you can have meaningful conversations. Spending less time at work, right? Spending or no time at work. Why do you want to spend less time at work? Because you don't want to be stressed. You want to have control over what you can do in your day-to-day life, right? So you can move towards love, do things that move you towards love and help you experience love. So I can't really explain that through words. Words are just pointers. If I say love, right, you don't know what love is until you experience love, right? So it's kind of hard for me to really explain this so you can understand it, but I'm doing my best, right? I hope you guys can kind of follow along. So going back to what I said as it relates to you experiencing the difficulty, right? I just experienced that yesterday, for a little while. I had a couple of hours, I went basically from the time I woke up 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. with no phone, no food, nothing, right? So I was just walking and I was hanging outside, just kind of doing nothing, right? Just experiencing whatever comes up in my brain, right? And I started crying, right? And it was painful, right? Because I don't know why I started crying, right? Nothing bad happened, but I started crying and it didn't feel good, right? I didn't feel my best. I felt sadness, right? Because I don't know, I really don't know why I was crying, right? Maybe I was crying because I was alone, or I felt like so alone, right? But I was crying, and getting through that was difficult yesterday, right? But one thing I will say is that allowing myself to feel that was powerful, right? Because typically when we're addicted to drugs, when we're addicted to things that are holding us back, a lot of times it's because we don't want to feel things like that, right? And sadness is just one thing, right? It could be overthinking, it could be anything, but I think it's important for us to train ourselves to be alone, to be constantly aware of our mind, right? And completely face to face with our mind, because when we're face to face with our mind constantly, right, we can get used to it, right? We can get used to the overthinking. We can become better at taking a step back and realizing that things aren't really that bad, right? So I'm not saying that this is easy by any means, right? Like, I'm talking about it and it may seem like it's simple, but it is simple, but it's not easy, right? Sitting there for hours, right? Thinking about the time, thinking about when you're going to eat, thinking about when you can go back on your phone, right? Thinking about when you're going to see your girlfriend next, or, thinking about all these different things, thinking about deep questions about life is difficult, right? And that's kind of what I experienced. I'm just giving you some of my insights on how the experience went. But that was kind of my experience. And one thing I'll say is that if I can handle that, if I can get used to that, then I don't need drugs. I don't need porn. I don't need to constantly eat, right? I'm not saying this is true, but I think that the more spiritually evolved you are, the less material things you need, right? Because you understand that, like, yeah, those things I can enjoy those things, but I can also be content just sitting on a couch with no TV or nothing, right? Just experiencing whatever comes up, right? And not have to feel like I need to do something about it, right? Because that's really where we get tripped up, and that's where we get stuck, and we get lost, is when we feel the pain, we feel the emotions, right? And then it's like, no, I gotta do something about it. No, I gotta go work out. I gotta go do something, right? And your ability to just sit there and endure, right? The aloneness, the whatever you're experiencing, the emptiness, is going to be super useful to you in life. Because, to be honest, most of your life is going to be spent alone anyway. Even if you have a girlfriend, even if you have kids, even if you have friends, you can't be with them all the time, right? So your mind every single day is running on a machine, right? It's like a machine that just doesn't stop, right? It doesn't stop running. It has unlimited speed. It has unlimited endurance, right? So your mind doesn't stop. But your ability to be able to handle things like that and be able to train yourself is going to help you become a stoic individual, right? And become someone who can handle stressful situations, right? Because it's like, if you can sit there for hours and deny your brain's wanting and desiring, and deny your want to escape the moment, then you can really handle a lot of shit in life, right? And it's not easy. The pain is never easy to deal with. The crying yesterday was not fun, right? But at the end of the day, it's like, I know that if I stick through it, if I stick through what I said I was going to do, right, and push a little further, then I'm getting my spiritual muscles are getting bigger, they're getting stronger, right? And that's really what you want to do, right? Especially, you know, I talk about quitting porn, I talk about quitting different vices, and it's like, this is the way, right? There's no other way to quit vices, right? Like, no one wants to say this, but you know, people will say you can quit vices by filling the void with something else. No, you quit the vice by being comfortable with the void, because the void is where everyone trips up, right? People say that idle hands is the devil's workshop, right? Meaning, like, if you're not doing something, then that's when the temptation comes. But here's the thing, you can't there's no way in hell you can live your life on a roller coaster of just constantly doing something, next thing to the next, right? Because at the end of the day, you know, like for me yesterday, I went for a walk, I cleaned up my house, right? That's really about it, right? I went outside, I did some stretching, but what else? There's nothing else for me to do, right? Because I'm on vacation, right? So, you know, yeah, I could sit there and journal, or I could do this, or I could do that. But at the end of the day, dude, I know I'm alone. I know there's the hollow spaces here anyway. I might as well just face it head on, right? So this is something that's not really fun to hear, because it's not enjoyable. The things I'm telling you right now are not going to make you more money. They're not going to get you laid, right? But they will transform you, right? They will transform your consciousness, and they will help you deal with life a lot better, so that you're more stoic, right? And that you don't have to live with the constant need for gratification, right? You can go without for a little bit, right? And your ability to do that is relieving, right? It's relieving to know that, like, hey, I can handle aloneness. I can handle times where I don't want to eat food. I can handle being away from people for a little bit, right? Whether it's a girlfriend, friends, anything, right? Being able to be alone, being able to be present with yourself is powerful, right? And you realize, like, when you're meditating, right, and you get into those states of consciousness, you realize, like, that's really, like, you can feel good by yourself. You don't need, it's not, I mean, I'm speaking about the things that were not so pleasant yesterday, but there's been times where I've been alone, where I've been I'll get into a deep meditative state where I feel good. I feel fine. I feel I don't want to say blissful, but, like, I feel like joy, right? Like, it's like, okay, like my mind isn't racing so crazy, right? And I feel good, right? So I want you guys to experience the same thing, and I want you guys to face the emptiness, especially if you're trying to overcome a vice, right? And this is the only way. I don't want to sugarcoat it. The hard way is the only way, right? So you're gonna have to eventually come to terms with the fact that there's gonna be a point where you have to just sit there, right, and not use the phone, and not eat, and not go out, and not escape somehow, however we escape, right? And just deal with it, right? And I'm not saying you can't use your phone or enjoy the finer things in life, but you gotta sometimes be able to sit there for a few hours at a time and deal with the emptiness, right? And if you do that, I think if you can, my goal, guys, I'm gonna be honest, my goal, the reason I seek financial freedom is so I can set myself up to be spiritually adept, right? Because I know that life is spirit, life is emptiness, life is nothing but empty space and consciousness, right? And obviously there's, you know, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna drop out of society and become like a complete monk, but I would like to have freedom in my ability to, you know, fast, my ability to meditate more, my ability to just be present, learn how to be conscious, learn how to be happy with nothing. That's one of my biggest goals. It's like, I want to be joyful with little, right? And I'm not talking about just being a surface level minimalist, but I want to be able to just be okay with little, because the more you have, or the more you feel like you need, the more you want, that creates anxiety. That's where anxiety comes from. Anxiety is the constant want for more. If you can say no to more, right, and be okay with that, and from an ego level, not feel like you have to pursue more, like it's gonna be the thing that changes you completely, then you'll be on your way to a better overall life, right? And you know, that's kind of what I think life is all about, is your ability to be conscious, your ability to be present, your ability to be content with being alone, right? Because God is alone, we are alone, right? Most of the time you spend in your day is by yourself, right? So yeah guys, that's it, that's all. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe. If you guys have any questions, comments, feel free to leave them down below. And as always, I will talk to you guys soon. Peace.